haven't been in situations like this personally. I have heard of instances where they do keep away the harsher truths away from their more elder family members, because if the grandma has cancer, there is nothing that can be done. The grandma can't just heal herself. If she had known about like her illness, so it would be considered mercy to keep them away from the truth and have them live peacefully for the final months of their lives. So obviously I cannot speak on behalf of all families, but I would say it would be up to the older children to decide. Let's say in this unfortunate scenario that the grandma has been diagnosed with cancer, then the older children would have to come together and decide whether to reveal this to their parents. I think it's just to relieve unnecessary pressure from their minds. It's more like you wouldn't want to you wouldn't want to worry about something that you cannot change.
Right.
So it's unnecessary suffer. All right, I have a lot to say about this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've heard this movie. It came out like quite a while ago, and it's certainly not an accurate representation of what the Chinese educational system is as of now, but it's definitely truer before. It used to be, especially in like the more rural areas, education is considered a privilege because the chances of a student being successful in the academic area is so slim. It's better to just either stay at home and help with the farmlands, or just drop out of school early and get a practical job. But I would say the movie is somewhat dated. Poverty in China is certainly still a major issue, but on the other side, the government did put a lot of money and effort in trying to improve their situations of like the extreme of the people on the extreme side of the spectrum. China actually has one of the most brutal tests in the world for high school graduates. It's called Gaokao, and it's basically the college entrance test. In America, you know how you have your GPA, you have when you apply for college, you have your supplements and recommendations. In China, there's nothing like that. It's just one test. Their final score would determine what tier of college they can apply to. If you fail that test, you fail it all. It's by far the most fair process that we can come up with, and it's sustainable. But yeah, there's definitely a huge problem where students are not examined holistically, but rather like their test taking skills. That's part of the reason why I'm here. So.
Okay. Yeah. So if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, essentially, with regards to the film, Not One Less, it's a rather dated portrayal of the education system, as obviously decent portrayal of what it was at the time. However, it's greatly improved.
Yeah, it was definitely very accurate back then, but
as for that,
China has been undergoing a huge economic boom for the past 10 years. So especially 2010 till now, that's when the change began. So yeah.
Yeah, great. It's really good to hear.
It's very up to date. It's very current. So in China, I'm sure you know about the Chinese New Year, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people who come from less developed areas, because the time they grew up in, education resource had not been the best. So they sometimes it's because of economic reasons. Sometimes they would rather go out early and support their families instead of pursuing an academic career. And every year they would come back home during the Chinese New Year and head back out after the New Year. And every year it's like a war going on. Everybody's trying to rush for a train ticket. You don't want to travel during that time because it's all going to be people trying to go home. It's a mass migration.
Yeah.
Cities like Beijing and Shanghai would basically be empty during those times because everybody comes from somewhere else. And it's definitely very accurate in that people are struggling to get a ticket home. I mean, it's a huge operation for the railroad department, just transportation as a whole.
What I've gathered from these movies is that the films portray Chinese culture as one that holds a lot of respect for the family, and all the members of the family, from the elders all the way down to the kids. They do what they can to support the family. I suppose my final question would be, do you think that that's an accurate portrayal of Chinese culture?
Yeah, it's definitely very accurate. We respect our elders. We not just from our families, but if we see an older person on the street and they seem like they are in need of help, we would help them without hesitation, because we were taught since we were very young that we need to respect the elders and love the young. It's not just an idea that's made up, because China has a very difficult history. We struggled economically a lot in the later part of last century. We went through a few famines. We had some revolutions going on, and the elders they had to fight for our country. Many of them died, and if we see somebody older now, we know that they had to really fight for their lives to stay alive when they were younger. They had to go through things that we can't even imagine right now. Yeah. So we just automatically have this sense of respect towards them, because we know they had to sacrifice a lot to even be alive now, and we owe basically everything to them. It's a reflection of the relationship between parents and children in China for many aspects. It's very important for us to take care of the people who bear our family names. I just want to say China is a country on the other side of the world, and from what I've seen, Western media has really not done a good job of portraying what China is. In the news, it's all about the human rights, this and that, and the privacy and the trade wars. It's the Chinese people don't care about that. We just want to live. We just want to, have a good job and be able to support our parents. We're not trying to steal your internet properties. We're not trying to take over the world. We're just people. We're just trying to live. Mm-hmm. So I really hope people in your class can get a clearer image of what China looks like.